Metastereotypes is something that may be a little confusing to you. Basically, what a metastereotype is it's the thoughts about how the outgroup views you. So if you're a minority, or when you think about how do other people who aren't minorities, how do they think about you, that might bother you, and you may worry about if you're doing things that fit into that stereotype. Give you a little give you a little history on the origin of the word. The term meta is a prefix. Meta is a prefix which is kind of a reflexive one. For example, metacognition. Metacognition is thinking about thinking. Meta memory is your memory of how your memory works. Metalinguistic awareness is your awareness of how you use language. So it kind of reflects this. So think about meta stereotypes. It's talking about your kind of understanding of stereotypes about your group. And there's been a lot of fascinating research done in this area. Claude Steele is one of the people who did a lot of research in this area, and he's looked at how African Americans, the challenges they have trying to deal with the stereotypes about them. So how does that affect their performance in school? How does that affect their performance on the job? Those type of things. He's done a lot of pioneering research on that. So I want to kind of explain a little bit more about this. And I want to use Samuel L. Jackson as an example because I came across an interview of his, which I'll play for you, and it's really kind of interesting. This was because Samuel L. Jackson plays a lot of roles that some people would say are to some degree stereotypical of what how some white people might view black people. And in the interview, this reporter is trying to talk about a movie he was in called Django Unchained. And in the movie, there's a lot of use of the N-word, or the negative term that people used to use for black people. And of course, the reason is, if you know anything about the movie, in Django Unchained, it's around the time of slavery in the United States, so it's very common to see that. But what's interesting is watch in this interview how this white reporter wants to talk about the use of this word, and Samuel L. Jackson is going to try to get him to say the actual word and not just say the N word. He wants him to actually say it. And it will seem like it's something like he's playing a prank on the guy, and he kind of is, but at the same time, think about his serious intent. He actually makes a couple comments that we'll talk about that really, I think, play up to this point.
There's been a lot of controversy surrounding the usage of the N-word in this movie, and
nobody, none. The word would be.
Oh, I don't want to say it.
Why not?
I don't like to say it.
Have you ever said it?
No, sir.
Try it.
I don't like to say it.
Try it.
Really? Seriously?
We're not going to have this conversation unless you say it. You want to move on to another question?
Okay. Awesome. I don't want to say it.
Come on.
Will you say it?
No, fuck no. That's not the same thing.
Why do you want me to say it?
Now notice how he said, well, why don't you say it? Because the idea, of course, that being because Samuel L. Jackson is African American, if he says it, well, then it's not as offensive because he's part of that minority group. But pay attention to what Samuel L. Jackson's point is. Like, no, it doesn't mean anything if I say it because I'm black. It doesn't mean anything. But if you, a white person, say it, it means something. And think about that's what he's trying to kind of get across.
Why do you want me to say it?
They're going to bleep it when you say it on your show. Say it.
I can't say it. If I say it, this question, it won't make air.
Okay, forget it.
Okay, I'll skip it. Sorry, guys. It was a good question.
No, it wasn't.
It was a great question.
It wasn't a great question if you can't say the word.
So I think what Samuel L. Jackson wanted to do in a situation is actually have an honest conversation about racism. And think about, just think about the idea of that if you're in a member of a minority group, maybe there's something you enjoy, but you are, because that's a stereotype of your group, you may be uncomfortable about it. For example, I used to work on a painting crew, and there was this African American and who was on the painting crew, and we were all sitting around eating lunch, and he was talking about what he had brought. And he says, I brought some fried chicken and I brought some watermelon. He says, I know that's a stereotype of black people liking fried chicken and watermelon. He said, but I really like it. He says, and I don't care. And that's an example of a metastereotype, because he was aware that traditionally white people have stereotyped black people as all loving fried chicken and watermelon, which is not true. I mean, first of all, who doesn't like fried chicken and watermelon? I mean, come on. I know fried chicken is not good for me, but it does taste good. So when you are aware of those stereotypes, you may be less likely to want to be in them. Let's look at another example. Let's say you're a gay male, and some of your mannerisms are not traditionally masculine, they're more feminine. And you want to be authentic to who you are because that's how you feel because you know that's who you are as a person, that maybe you'll make certain gestures or do certain or say things. Like think about speaking in a certain way that kind of there's kind of a nuanced way that some gay males who are have more feminine traits speak, and they may be self-conscious about that because they know the stereotypes, like, oh, there's a typical gay male, or like think about if you're a gay male and you like Broadway musicals. Well, that's a stereotype. You may feel like people won't take you seriously in your life or in the workplace because, well, you fit a stereotype. Or think about any kind of group. I mean, it really kind of comes along with any kind of group, but we talk about this more with races and other things like sexual orientation and gender identity, because think about, these are really areas where a lot of discrimination occurs. Not everybody, of course, discriminates, but there is a lot of discrimination and prejudice in these areas, and this is what this term is referring to, this kind of awareness of these stereotypes and how that might inhibit the way you behave.